We have to kill ISIS. Now, I said keep the oil. We shouldn't have gone into Iraq, but we got out the wrong way.
How many people here, by your applause, would be in favor of large numbers of American forces back in Iraq to take over the oil fields to bring that money back to this country?
And by doing that, you're cutting off ISIS. By the way, that's their primary source of funding.
Donald Trump can't seem to make up his mind about the polls unless they're in his favor. Ben Carson speaks softly, quietly carries plenty of big numbers. Marco Rubio is being called the next Obama by a former mentor who might be coming apart at the seams. And remember this person named Carly who was supposed to be barreling down on the field? They will all get another chance to shine and opine, some likely for the final time, in the third Republican debate Wednesday night, where in light of the first two, it'd be a real shocker if there was actually any real debate. So let's dip into the coming attractions. Welcome back the veteran Washington Post political reporter and columnist who has become necessary daily reading in her blog, The Right Turn, Jennifer Rubin, joined by veteran congressional staffer who helped create and launch The Federalist, Sean Davis. I want to thank you both for being here because we have a lot to talk about. Jennifer, I'm going to start with you. Look, Donald Trump is complaining. He says, I don't get it why the polls are suddenly have him in second place behind Ben Carson. Does he really not get it, Jennifer, or is he just playing us, the media and the general public, just like the puppets he wants us to be?
It's hard to tell with Donald. He's his own act. So everybody is third rate. Everybody is stupid unless they're supporting him. So I don't know if he takes what he says seriously or not. In point of fact, he's not doing very well in Iowa, primarily because evangelicals don't look kindly on him. And I think he's going to be a little bit desperate in the debate simply because he wants to reassure himself he is still alpha dog. So I would look at him to maybe go after Ben Carson, maybe to go after some of the other contenders.
Hold on to that thought for a second because I want to get there. But, Sean, I want to ask you then, is it just possible that reality, politics, is all catching up with Donald Trump and he just never saw this coming?
I think that's absolutely what's happening. And what you've seen in the polls, especially in Iowa, is that as they've started having a narrower, tighter, likely voter screen, you see Donald Trump's support begin to erode. I'm not sure there's really all that big of a surge for Carson. I think what you're seeing is that these polls are now looking at people who are actually going to show up and vote on the frigid night of the Iowa caucuses, rather than people who kind of just view Donald Trump as a curiosity and a novelty. And I think the numbers are finally catching up to him.
Sean, don't we have to just stop ourselves for a moment and realize that when we talk about these polls, and that's the political junkies that we are, it's what we do for a living. But in effect, what we're talking about is 500 people here, 1,000 people here, maybe 700 people here. We're not talking about a massive amount of human beings here. We're talking about basically small samples, yes?
That's true, but that's how polling has always worked and is generally statistically sound if you're doing your methodology correct. But in Donald Trump's case, if you're going to live by the polls, you're going to die by the polls. Every time he's up in some poll, he trumpets it as though it's the gospel. And then as soon as a bunch, as we've seen, show him losing, suddenly they don't matter at all. So either they matter to Trump or they don't. He can't have it both ways.
So, Jennifer, then why is Dr. Ben Carson trending upwards when, in essence, he really hasn't said much? As a matter of fact, he said some things that are actually, factually wrong of late.
I think there are two things going on. One, I totally agree with Sean. I've been saying this for a while, that a lot of those so-called Trump voters are non-voters. They're not Republicans. They're not primary voters. There are people who are interested in him as a curiosity, and because it doesn't take much effort to respond to a pollster calling your home, as opposed to going to the polls in a primary race or even to a caucus appearance, they get included in these polls. So I do agree that not only is Trump perhaps not exactly falling, but maybe his numbers were not all that high to begin with. As far as Ben Carson goes, he says sort of loopier things than even Donald Trump, but his voters don't really care about the specifics of policy things he says. It's very typical of Iowa to go for someone who is overtly, sincerely an evangelical Christian. That happened in 2008 with Mike Huckabee. It happened in 2012 with Rick Santorum. Whether he has staying power in other states will be another matter, but I don't think it's unusual that he is, for example, leading in many polls in Iowa.
I think what's happened is that's probably the Donald Trump campaign is calling you right now, wanting to see if you want to go ahead and give him a couple of bucks. We'll let you take care of that because, Sean, I want to come to you on this, and I just thought about this. We talk about Iowa so much here. Is it just possible, and even Jennifer just mentioned the fact that there are candidates who've won Iowa before and have gone absolutely nowhere. Do we overestimate Iowa at the risk of the Iowa people now basically getting out of their seats and coming after us? I mean, maybe with torches?
No, I think that's a fair critique. And if you look at Iowa's history, they don't have a stellar record among Republicans of picking the next Republican nominee. But what's important about Iowa this time around, and Ben Carson especially, is that Ben Carson is basically the Trump killer, because Trump has built up this mystique that I'm a winner, I always win, all I do is win. Once he loses Iowa, that's over, and he's a loser. And I'm not sure he can ever recover, especially in national poll numbers, from becoming a bona fide, genuine loser, which is what looks like is going to happen to him in Iowa.
Oh, look out.
I couldn't agree more with Sean. You know, Sean, I don't even know if he's going to go through the primary process, if he's going to go through the actual caucus, because if he is getting those polls, as disagreeable as they may be, saying he's 5, 6, 7, 10 points down, does he really want to be a loser, or is he just going to pick up his marbles and say, Iowa is third rate and go off in a huff? I find it hard to believe he's actually going to allow himself to lose.
Now, Jennifer, Sean used the phrase Trump killer. Wait a minute. Wasn't it just a couple of weeks ago we were calling Carly Fiorina the Trump killer? And honestly, she's completely vanished. Is there any chance that she gets back in this, honestly speaking, or has she seen her moment come and go?
Well, she didn't do much to continue her boost in popularity after the last debate, and she needs something in between these debates, which are now sort of the principal events by which a lot of viewers, a lot of Republicans are learning about the race. I think she'll have a good performance. I think she needs to carve out an identity as sort of the sober-minded outsider. I think she needs to put forth some policies. I think she has to be able to make news in between. She does have some money. She's an excellent retail politician. She does well in the debates. I don't think she's done, but I do think it should be a lesson to her that simply having a good debate performance or two is not going to be sufficient.
Jennifer, was Hillary Clinton pathetic when she used sexism as a charge against Bernie Sanders for his comments?
I think it was pathetic, but it works in the Democratic Party where identity politics, excuse the expression, trumps all. I find it inherently contradictory, however, and very troubling that on one hand she says she's tough enough to go up against Vladimir Putin. On the other hand, being accused by a geriatric opponent of shouting seems to upset her. So I think she has to pick a vein to be in and figure out what she wants to run as.
30 seconds, Sean, to you. Last shot here. Jeb Bush advisors are calling Marco Rubio a GOP Obama. What do you think this says about their campaign now and where they feel they're at?
It says to me that they think he's going to beat Hillary, because let's remember that that's what Obama did. He was a first-term senator who beat Hillary. So I know they mean that as an insult, but I'm not sure it's as an effective one as they think.
We have to sit back and wait, because here we go, the third Republican debate, and guaranteed. By the way, real quick, Sean, who do you think, 5 seconds, will disappear after this debate?
Hopefully Kasich, Christie, or Huckabee.
Okay, Jennifer, same thing.
All the kids at the kiddie table, the four candidates who have never made the main table.
We're not even talking about the kiddie table these days. Jennifer, Rubin, Sean Davis, a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it soon. And let me remind everybody, don't forget, Newsmax special, post-debate special. You're going to get an all-star casters. Steve Malzberg will host. Sarah Palin, Dick Morris, John Zogby, Michael Reagan, Craig Shirley, and a whole lot more. They will be there. You be here. Wednesday night, 10 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Pacific for our special post-debate special. You stay with us, because the fastest 60 minutes of news, The Hardline, continues with a former spy who wants to turn congressman next. Now this promotional announcement. The shocking new book, Unlikable, The Problem with Hillary, by Edward Klein, could well be his next New York Times bestseller, called by some the most powerful expose on Hillary ever written. In Unlikable, author Ed Klein offers a stunning, powerful expose of Hillary Clinton and her floundering race for the White House. With unprecedented access, Klein meticulously recreates conversations and details of Hillary Clinton's behind-the-scenes plotting. Klein also reveals the angry rivalry between Hillary and Barack Obama. Unlikable retails for $29.95, but now you can get it with our free offer. Get this almost $30 value absolutely free. Just go online to newsmax.com/Klein or call toll-free 800-850-8749. With the 2016 election fast approaching, you need to get Unlikable and be armed with the truth about Hillary Clinton. 800-850-8749 or go to newsmax.com/Klein.